doing? All right, so I just wanted to make a little first week wrap-up video. Valerie mentioned that he wasn't eating at home. He's eating perfectly fine here and is very intense when taking treats. So if you would like, you may bring his meals, drop them off with you or with him when he comes in, and I can try using his food for training. That way he's not just living on a diet of hot dogs, which is no good. So I went ahead and put him on a prong collar. I don't normally do that. Well, I shouldn't say I don't normally, but I don't always do that on the first week, but I literally couldn't control him. So this week has been spent establishing a response to his different markers and also teaching him how to respond to leash pressure with the prong collar, since I want him to know how to turn that pressure off, since it is a little bit more of a uncomfortable tool. And then really working on his engagement through marker, specifically his clicker. So because he's such a big doofus and he's just all over the place, I wanted to pair that prong collar pressure with the clicker training to create better engagement with me, so he's not just dragging me all over the place and he's checking in with me a little bit more. So backing up to the markers, a marker is a cue or a sound that marks a specific moment in time that we like something, and it announces the arrival of food. So I want it to be a reflexive response where every time he hears these sounds, he automatically just is ready to take some kind of food. So that way he learns that by doing whatever he was doing when he hears that, it brings food. It is a good thing to do what he had just done, if that makes sense. So when I am, skipping ahead too much. Sorry, it's Friday. So we have our clicker and we have 2 verbal markers, good and okay. I like to use the clicker because of the consistency of the tone. So if you're excited about something, you're frustrated, whatever, it always comes across the same, it always sounds the same. So I like to use that one to shape behaviors, to counter condition, to create engagement, yada, yada, yada. But for duration and things like that, I'm gonna go more towards our verbal markers, which are good and okay. Good is something that I use when I put him into a behavior. Good, I will say good to mark that he went into behavior. And then I will repeat it, good, to build up that duration, to keep him into behavior, good. And I just do that, good, to build up that time that he's in there, to pay him for being in that position. I can start adding in movements, good, adding in length of time. I like to split up the sequence of when I reward so that's not predictable, good. And then when I'm ready for him to come out of behavior, I use the word okay, and he can come to me to get reinforcement. So right now I'm paying him when he comes out of when I say okay, but eventually it's just going to be you're done with behavior, you can get up and do whatever. But I have to teach him what that means first. Right, buddy? Yeah. Good. Good boy. Good. And the markers are not super exciting, but they really make further training much easier because it creates a little bit of clear communication with him. Okay. So it's something that really pay a lot of attention to during that first week. And then as far as pressure goes, when I or he creates tension in the leash, I want him to learn to move into that pressure. So I will apply a steady pressure, good. And then as soon as he moves into it, I counter with releasing that tension, and I reward. I mark and I reward that. So if I had my clicker ready, I would have clicked that. So right now he's kind of moving away from me. I'm going to apply a little pressure. Yeah! And I want to release that tension at the slightest, at the slightest give, because I want to create a soft dog. I don't want a dog that's like dragging into his leash. And that is why I like the prong collar, because he can deal with much more pressure and tension because it's such kind of a dull sensation. As you know, he's learned to really just pull into those products, and he'll choke himself out and pass out before he responds to that type of pressure. So this does work through discomfort, but it's just at a level that he's more responsive to, so it creates that clear communication through that shorter response time. I'm able to say, hey, I really like that, at a sequence that is not this like long drawn out process where he's just kind of blowing me off. So doing a lot of direction changes. when we're walking. Every time he forwards his head a little bit, I just walk backwards, pay double attention. As soon as he moves back towards me, I pay. So I do a lot of that just to teach him suppleness and to stay with me. And then when we're out moving around and he checks in with me like that, I pay him for that to create that engagement. I really just want to build value in him looking up at me and paying attention to me. That is the picture right now, and I'm going to worry about finessing his actual field position once he has much, much better engagement, and I'm not having to correct him and things like that because he already knows that right here is just a good spot to be. So that is the first week wrap up. I know it's kind of a meh, boring thing. We're already working on verbal commands. I'm not going to put them out just yet because I want to make sure that he's still on that continuous reinforcement schedule, meaning every time he does something, I pay him, which it's easy for me to do because that's my job. It's what I'm doing here. Is much harder to do at home because there's so much other happening. You're not always ready with food, things like that. So I want to make sure that when I'm giving those commands that he's learning here, that he's paid for that. Eventually that won't be a thing. He'll have to do more behaviors in a sequence. We won't have to pay every single time, things like that. So once he's there, then I'll start sharing what his actual commands are that he's learned here. All right, say bye. Can you look around? Bye, family.
Oh, that was good. Oh, goodness.
There's no food. I've just got the clicker.